Hey guys, Waifugate here again. Today we're going to be doing another deck tech. This time it's over a best of one list for Historic, and it's mono green. This is something that got top 4, I think, in some big event. Some MLP player was playing it, and one of my viewers, Sten, suggested the list to me, and I took it into best of one, and I had a blast. It's something that I'm probably going to grind to Mythic with, because it's a lot of fun, and it's very explosive. So let's dig into the list. So we've got a lot of 1-drops here. First off, like mulliganing, basically you just want ramps. So you want an elf or a goose, explore, mindstone, and visionary is okay. Visionary is really good if you have a 1-drop to pair with it, not so much if you have a 2. You really want a 1-drop. It's 2020 Mythical Invitation top 4 day 1 deck, Historic best of 3. Is what it placed in, but I'm using it in best of 1 because I feel like it pretty much excels in best of 1 for the most part, since your sideboard's set up for best of 1 stuff for the most part. You're not actually bringing in sideboard cards overall. Usually leave those in for Nissa or Vivian and Karn. But the person had to play it in best of 3 because that was what the tournament was about. But it's still, that says something about the list, right? Is that if it performs well in best of 3 and it doesn't have a sideboard, that should kind of speak for the strength of the list by itself. Anyways, in regards to mulliganing, Goose, Elves, Visionary only if you have Elves and Goose for the most part. And then like anything big, like 1 big card to ramp into is really nice, plus 2 or 3 lands is like the perfect hand. You can keep 2 landers more often on the draw, especially if you have an Elf, compared to if you're on the play and keeping 2 lands is a little sketchy because you only have 24 in your deck. So that's pretty much your mulligan step. How the deck functions, you just ramp into really obnoxious, powerful stuff. You ramp into Vivian, you ramp into Karn, you ramp into Gargaroth. This guy will just take the game and just sail with it, like it's smooth sailing. Nissa, like Voracious Hydra, so you can fight stuff, and then you can grab stuff from your sideboard with Vivian and Karn. And that's the whole idea of the deck, is just overrunning your opponent with a lot of mana and a lot of really explosive plays. Like this guy can make a field for you, like 3/3s all day, or card advantage. You need some life, he's got you there too. Like he does so much. He blocks, he swings because of that vigilance, that reach. You can block anything pretty much except for like Ulamog. Not really going to be blocking that too much, I don't think. But Ulamog's a problem anyway. It's just you hope to overrun your opponent before that happens anyway. So that's pretty much it for how the deck functions. And then we've got the sideboard, which is sort of like, normally my decks go like, deck guide, like the meat of it, mulliganing, how the deck works, matchups. Let's get into matchups actually. So matchups, I'd say against like goblins, sometimes we can just overrun them. Like this guy pretty much takes you home against goblins for the most part. You can make enough blockers, etc. And sometimes you explode on goblins more than they can explode on you. And that's really nice. And then we've also got like Karn to get like Grafdigger's Cage to stop them from using Muxus, etc. So that's not like terrible. It's not like we're out, up the creek without a paddle, so to speak, against that type of a deck. So that's nice. And so that's pretty much it for goblins. Like we can just kind of overrun them, fight the haste creature, I would say. Fight Shirk Prospector so they can't explode super early, stuff like that. Like an early like 1/1/2 Hydra can really throw goblins for a loop. Like just fighting that Prospector is so good. Same thing for other ramp decks. You can fight the ramp, etc. It's just a very versatile card here. And so that matchup against goblins, I think it's probably like even or slightly favored in our side of things from what I can guess at. I'd say like Simic Ramp's probably the worst matchup with Ulamog. Spyglass on Prospector is good too. That's another good point. Sten's just brought it up in chat, so being able to grab the Spyglass there is nice. And then we've got what else? Like Jund Food is like a 50-50. I would say, depending on how good their collected company is, the Coco. The Coco is very strong, so it's hard to keep up with that. And I would say that it goes on like us being able to explode. Like if we go first, we're favored a little bit there, of course. When isn't Lana? We're Elves 1, Visionary 3, into like Gargaroth or Nissa favored versus something that's like playing a cat, like, you know. But basically just try to keep the priest in check, fight the priest when you can, as early as you can, and potentially keep the Dreadhorde Butcher in check as well so it doesn't just explode. And you typically go like 50-50, especially with the Karn sideboard. It's not bad. But it's definitely hard, I would say. Like, it depends on like how soon we can see Karn to lock them off, and if we have a good enough field to hold strong. What else is there? There's like, we went over Goblin, Simic Ramp. Control in general, like white is going to be a little hard. Depends on if they see their Wrath before we see like things to refuel our hands with. So stuff like that it's really important, like being able to keep enough back and knowing when the opponent might wipe, etc. Like how much you need to commit to the board, and that's something that you get a feel for in general against aggro as you play, or against control as you play aggro, and as you play control you kind of understand aggro as well. This is sort of one of the nice things about Magic, is if you play the other deck you get better at playing both in some aspects. It's really important to note. What else is good in the meta? Like you white auras, I think we can sometimes run them over, but if they have an explosive hand it's hard. We don't have a spell bomb or anything in the sideboard for those matchups, so it's a little tough. Like Ratchet Bomb's a bit slow, but it can kind of get us there sometimes. There's not really a lot that helps us. Ulamog, I guess, if we have a lot of mana, but that's really, really hard if they just go like all that glitters, etc., and just kind of run us over. But if we can get a big enough field, if we can fight the dudes soon enough, like early enough, it can be okay. And it's really hard to deal with Nissa like super early, like if we're just doing multiple things each turn and we can go and grab like God Pharaoh's statue, etc., so they can't cast anything. Like it gets really, really tough, because then they can't, like Reclamation Sage can blow up their key artifact, like all that glitters, but you have to watch out for El Cid, the 1/1 that protects enchantments and creatures. It's just a really tough list to beat sometimes. So I'd say we're slightly, I don't know, probably a little unfavored there, especially if we go second. If I missed any matchups and you guys are curious as to what I think about them, you can drop them in the comments section below, and I'll try to respond to that as soon as I can, because I know I probably missed at least one or two of them. And then digging into the sideboard, I mean, Crypt pretty easily, like against Rakdos, Grafdiggers, Rakdos. This is a little safer if you just want to get rid of Kronxas and stuff. It's a one-time dealio though, and then it's like out. And we've got Shadow Spear for things that have indestructibility. Plus it allows like a big Hydra to punch through. It's really nice. It can give lifelink, even though this already has trample. But you can give this lifelink, and that's really, really nice. So the trample's kind of irrelevant, but the lifelink can really save us. Ooze obviously for graveyards and stuff as well, plus we can grab it with Vivian, not Karn. The -5 on Vivian can grab us anything, any creature. So Ooze, Reclamation Sage, Beast, Ceratops. The original list had this as Elder Gargaroth, but I feel like Ceratops is slightly different, and I don't have the wild card for Gargaroth, or I didn't want to spend it, so this is sort of a makeshift sideboard, with that being the only thing that I changed. Crater Hoof can end the game, for example, like the -5 there. Boom, with Nissa, it's pretty easy to get this out. Great Henge puts you over the top with Karn. It's great. They can't interact with it. You can exile target Teferi, exile target lands, anything that's bothering you, it's gone. They can't get protection from it either. You white auras won't be able to, because it's colorless, so that's kind of a nice like icebreaker. If they can't quite swing him with their dude, you can block with a bunch of Nissa lands, etc. It's kind of nice. Stonecoil Sea Boston, protection from multicolored, so just a nice card to dump mana into, and then a Aversious Hydra to fight. So just a lot of tech here. You'll get used to what you need to grab, like Spyglass to show off Oven, or Priest, like Forgotten Priest against Rakdos. Grab this for Ugin, the Spirit Dragon, like anything you need to. It's pretty relevant. You can shut off Azcanta, that's a big one. Like if your opponent's just running away with card advantage, etc., and you just need a turn or two, this can really help. Lots of versatility with it, man. And you'll get more attuned to it. Like something I recommend is having like your deck like especially with these Wish sideboards, having a program like the MTGA assistant from AetherHub that tracks your deck, and then also something that tracks your sideboard, whether that's like you having it in a separate window like a browser, just so you can see what you can wish for instead of wishing for something and then realizing that you don't have anything that could help and it was better to fight with Vivian than grab a creature. It's a really big deal with these wish lists, so just be really attuned with your sideboard, study it a little, and definitely have a cheat sheet for it. With that being said, let's jump into the gameplay. This looks good. Gargy boy, dude. Did he? Yo, dude, what if I fight that, man? If I fight with that, dude. I'm pretty sure I just Nissa, right? I'm not even gonna give you a forest to claim the firstborn with. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel good? Just gonna play the Gargy boy. Next. Could fight this, but then it's weak to claim. I wouldn't really be able to defend myself. This is Anissa. Hopefully that was pretty informative. You got to see some gameplay, breakdown of the deck. I've been having a lot of fun with it on stream, and I plan to slam it for Mythic pretty soon on the ladder. So if you guys want to, there'll be a little end panel here in a second. You can click subscribe. There we go. It helps the channel a lot, and then you can check out another video if you'd like. So thanks again for checking it out, and I will see you guys soon.